Hello, marketers. Welcome to Awaken Career Chat. I'm your host, Lydia Huang, founder and marketing career consultant at Awaken Career. So my mission today is to share more job search tips, marketing knowledge, and recruitment insights to empower more marketing professionals in their career. Today, I invited Nick Bennett, director of ABM and Community at Alyce, to share his marketing career and his hiring experience with all of us. Nick has been sharing lots of great content on LinkedIn, and he is a thought leader in the ABM topics, which we are going to dive in more in this interview. With that, I would like to have Nick to briefly introduce himself.
Amazing. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. Like you mentioned, I lead ABM Community at Alyce. We are a smart gifting platform for B2B companies that are looking to use gifting and direct mail in their outbound strategies or customer strategies to hopefully drive increased pipeline and revenue. And so kind of for me, I've been doing field marketing in ABM for the last 9 years at various tech companies across the US, mostly startups and high growth companies. And so I've kind of ran the gamut across all of them. I've gone through acquisitions, I've gone through exits. I've done a good amount of things and have seen a lot. And honestly, I wouldn't change that for the world. I love working for startups. I love working for high growth companies. And for me, where I am currently in my career, I personally, couldn't work for a larger company. It's just not in my mindset right now. So I'm really excited to be here and can't wait to have a conversation with you.
Well, that's so interesting that you mentioned that in your career right now, you're more interested in startup, not large company. And then help us understand why you love about startup and what really make you to wake up every day and to do the work.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question. So, honestly, let's be honest, in startup world, equity is part of your package for the most part. And honestly, like you're a stakeholder of the company. You feel so much more involved because at the end of the day, if they IPO or get acquired or whatever it is, your long-term success is, you could monetize off of it based on, the package that you have for yourself. And it's so exciting because you get to wear different types of hats. It's not a very, 9 to 5 show up. You're doing the same monotonous thing every single day. You get to try different things. You get to take on added responsibilities. You get to work with some of the most creative minds that I've ever personally worked with. And it's just nothing against big companies. Trust me. It's just for me and for the last 9 years and kind of what I've seen, it's not something that, where I am is the right move for me. What's to say 7-10 years down the road, it could be, who knows? But for right now, I just love that grind and the hustle and the high risk, high reward type of environment.
I love that answer, Nick. And I feel like more people need to hear this because in the current job market, most of people are only focused on want to get into well-known brands, right? Enterprise company, but there are so many growth opportunity in those smaller and startup company. And I feel like you can learn so much from those mission-based brands, right? So I'm really glad that you point this out. My next question for you, Nick, like I mentioned, you are a thought leader in the ABM field. And I want to know, what is ABM and why you are so passionate about these topics?
So, honestly, account-based marketing, which is what ABM stands for, has been around forever. It's just up until the last years, maybe 2 years, that it's become such a hot topic where companies are like, hey, we have to be doing ABM, but they don't really know what it is. They think account-based marketing is inviting people to an event or doing display ads for target accounts. But there's so much more. It needs to be a company-wide initiative. Honestly, everyone needs to be behind that. And personally, one of my favorite things that I get to do every single day is to work with sales. I was previously a salesperson before I moved over to marketing. And I suggest any revenue marketers that are out there at some point in your career, try sales, whether you're an SDR, whether you're an inside rep, whether you're an AE, whatever, just try sales because you can appreciate what they go through every single day, and it just helps you be better in your own field.
Oh, I can totally relate to that, Nick. I was actually in sales before I get into recruiting. And to be honest with you, recruitment is also part of sales, right? So I understand all the stress, all the struggle as salesperson. So I'm glad that you point that out. And I feel like, yes, at some point, you really need to get into those sales related roles because you will learn so much skills and also understand how to collaborate with sales. I feel like for me, when I try to transit from sales in recruiting, because I have that sales background, so I understand how to market myself to others, how to build a long-term relationships with people. And eventually that skills help me to understand how to become a great recruiter that can sell the company to candidates, right? So I just really want to point that out. Everyone, at some point, you should really try a sales related position. And then so I want to dive into more of your hiring experience because that's a main purpose that I started this interview series. I really want to help more marketing professionals who is looking for their next role to understand what hiring managers are looking for. So with that, Nick, help us understand what kind of position that you've been hired before.
Yeah, so it's really been in the account-based marketing and field marketing and event marketing kind of realm. Like I've overlooked those pieces at various companies. And so that's really been my specialty because I'm typically the one that was like leading the team or a strong piece with bringing, a new headcount on specifically for that.
And when we talk about ABM related positions, would you say that this is more in tech industry or any industry can have this type of positions?
Yeah, it's usually probably in tech. I would say 90% is probably in tech. And so that's just kind of like a bigger thing. However, it's becoming so popular that, you could be an ABM marketer in, financial services or in different types of things. It's all ABM really is targeted marketing to a subset of accounts.
Gotcha. Okay, so Nick, help us understand what would be day-to-day tasks look like for ABM related positions?
So, it could be a variety of different things. You could own your strategic sales segment of top tier accounts. And so, for example, you could own like, say, these 50 accounts across a strategic segment for your business. And so you have to, one, work with sales to develop that list. What does that 50 accounts look like? Then it's okay, what can we do to create a customized plan together for each of these accounts? And so you may not be doing all of the work yourself. However, you're going to be leveraging so many other aspects of marketing to help pull the levers that you need to pull to execute on a successful strategy.
Sounds really interesting. I feel like this role will have to collaborate with sales a lot. Would that be the case, Nick?
Absolutely.
So I have a follow-up questions for you. I think when we talk about to collaborate with sales team, we often heard that there's a lot of challenges to work with sales, right? Because we know they have a really high stress work, so totally understandable. So I want to ask, in your perspective, how would this type of talents, ABM related positions, to build a trust with sales teams quickly? Any tips?
It's a great question. I mean, honestly, you have to find a way to add value. And so adding value can mean many different things to other people. For me, it's leveraging the relationships that I have with other marketers when they're looking for a product like us, where I can pass them over to sales, or if I can join sales calls, adding value of how I use our product so that I can relate to the other marketer on the other side. And so that's specifically in the MarTech space, but it's been really, really successful. And so once you add that value, you start to build the trust. When you have an ask of the sales team, they're going to be more willing to work with you versus you just coming out of the cold blue saying, hey, I need you to do XYZ for me.
Agree, Nick. Relationship building with others is really, really important. And I feel like that's also the things can help you do your job easier, right? Okay, so I have a next question for you. So when you are hiring account-based marketing talents, what would be top three technical or soft skills that you are looking for as a hiring manager?
I think relationship building or relationship valuing relationships is probably one of the biggest things, because let's be honest, like between marketing and sales, relationships is the biggest thing. Second thing that I would say is probably being curious, like just having the curiosity of wanting to figure out how to do something. You don't have to be an expert or someone that comes in with all this experience, but if you're curious about, hey, like I was thinking this could be a really out of the box way that we could break into a specific account. Like curiosity for me is a big thing that's really interesting. And I think the last thing is just the ability to understand your buyers, like having the mindset that you're a people person at the end of the day. And I think that's different than relationship building specifically with sales. It's understanding who you're trying to sell to and market to. And so you're just the type of person that enjoys people, because let's be honest, you're going to be doing events, you're going to be doing digital, you're going to be writing, creative copy for ads. And so understanding the pain points of your buyers and what really makes them angry at their current solution or upset with it is really what you can leverage to be successful.
Those are important criteria when hiring marketing professionals. And I actually want to point out one of the things that you mentioned, understand your buyers. So I think this is really important things, and I always encourage my clients and job seekers to do a deep dive research about the company before their interview, right? But there are so many ways that job seekers can do research, and sometimes could feel really overwhelming. They don't know where to start, right? So I wonder that in your opinion, is there any specific methods, ways, or resource that you would like to hear from a candidate when you are interviewed with them?
I mean, personally, as you know, I'm big into the LinkedIn path. And so I would much rather have someone that, does their research on LinkedIn. Because if anyone goes on LinkedIn, they find out what I'm posting about on an everyday basis. They come back because they understand the business, they understand the use case, they understand how the product market fit could be a success or a failure if that was the case. Like, I lay it all out there. And I think like leveraging LinkedIn to be able to understand, hey, this would be my team, or this is the hiring manager. These are a few sales leaders at this company, seeing if they're putting stuff out there, because in a lot of cases, especially in the world we live in today, everyone's out there building their brand and putting content out there on LinkedIn. And so you can use that as your own research tool, in addition to, company website, all those other things. But I think LinkedIn is a undervalued, or I don't even want to say undervalued, underutilized tool for job seekers that aren't using it correctly.
I am 100% with you on that, Nick. I've been keep telling job seekers, my clients, to really be active on LinkedIn, because fun facts, I use LinkedIn networking to land 3 jobs at Amazon, Redfin, and Pokemon. So there are so many great opportunities on that platform, but not many people understand how to strategically use LinkedIn in their job search, right? So I usually tell them that if you are not comfortable to build your content, totally fine, right? Just go find influencers, professionals, or thought leaders in that specific field and just really engage with their content, right? Share your thoughts in the comment section so people can remember you. And that's the goal, to build your personal brand, to let people remember you during that job search journey. So I'm really glad that you point that out. And I guess my next question for you, it's more about, as a hiring manager, I'm sure that you've seen lots of mistakes in the interview, right? Is there anything that you would like to suggest job seekers to avoid in their next interview?
I think it's just, I don't want to say being over prepared, but like for me, let me explain that for a second. So like for me, I would much rather have an actual conversation with someone. I hate like literally any person that I interview, that I talk to, I don't ask typical interview questions. I don't like them. I think it's, you can get a lot of those answers, especially if someone posts their own content on like LinkedIn. But I like to just have a conversation. You can learn so much more from having just a back and forth conversation. And it doesn't even have to be about the job specifically. Yeah, that's going to be part of it. But like, what are you passionate about outside of work? Like, what do you like to do? Like, tell me about that. Like, I don't want to put you down the path of a, what are your weaknesses? What are your strengths? Like, I just feel like that's so 2000 and just like, old school, and people still do that, but I don't know, I just personally would much rather get to know someone, especially someone that's going to be on my team, and get to know them as a human being versus I got to check the box and just ask these questions.
It's so refreshing to hear hiring managers using conversational interview method in the interview, because I will be honest with you, there's still lots of hiring managers use the old style question answer type of the interview method to conduct the interview. For me, I just feel that's a really bad candidate experience, right? Because candidate do not have the opportunity to learn more about you and build the relationship with you, right? So I personally really love about conversational type interview method. And for me, I experienced a really bad interview experience. They just really ask question, I answer it and feel so robotic. There's no personal feeling, and for me, I actually feel good that they ended up didn't choose me, because I can't imagine to work in that type of a like environment. Sometimes those are like red flag. So I'm really glad that you point that out. It should be conversational. It should get to know about candidates in the personal level, not just like, oh, their overall experience, right? I mean, that's also important, don't get me wrong, right? But it just, beyond just learning about their technical skills, their experience, can we just like have a conversation to get to know them? So I'm really glad that you point that out. Okay, so my last question for you, Nick. I want to know if you have any career advice that you can give all the marketing professionals here and help them to stand out in the talent pool.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, so I have to go down the LinkedIn path on this, because so many marketers, like we said, aren't posting content on LinkedIn. And if you want to stick out, one, find out who the hiring manager for a role is. More than likely, say you found the recruiter at a company that you want to work for or that you applied for. You message the recruiter and say, hey, I'd love to send the hiring manager a note. And more than likely, you could find out who the hiring manager was. But if you can't, in a lot of cases, I've talked to people and they say, oh yeah, I reached out to the recruiter and they gave me who the hiring manager was. I reached out to the hiring manager with a personalized video. And I think the video is what separates people apart. If you send any type of video and say, hey, I'm Nick, here's my background, here's why I would be a perfect fit for XYZ company and for this specific role, I would love to continue the conversation and just talk a little bit about why you're passionate about the role, why you're passionate about working for that company. Keep it to, I would say, 2 to 3 minutes. It doesn't need to be like super long, but it's the initial video that will get your foot in the door, that will hopefully allow you to, one, have a direct conversation with the hiring manager, or be like, yeah, I'm going to send you over to the recruiter. I'd love to set up a conversation with them first. And then if all goes well, we'll have a conversation.
Wow, that's a great tips, Nick. I know there's a lot of people are really into video marketing now. And I feel like, if you're in marketing, that is a way to actually separate you from other candidates, right? Because you're really showing your creativity. So I love that tips. So thank you so much for coming to this interview series.
Thank you.
you share lots of great tips and insights with the audience here. So for all the marketers that you love about this interview series, please don't forget to follow me and Nick on LinkedIn, and I will see you next time.